Hello everybody, myself Mrs. P.S. Patil, working as Head of Department in Electrical Engineering Department of Raya Shikshan Sanstha Karmavir Bhaurao Patil Polytechnic Satara. Our program is Diploma in Electrical Engineering, and today the lecture which I am going to conduct, it is from the course Industrial AC Machines. Course code is 22523. And this particular course is included in 5th semester of iSCHEM syllabus. So the lecture today I am going to conducting, I am going to give an introduction to the top unit 3-phase induction motor. This is the first unit from the subject industrial AC machines. So we will have an introduction to the construction of 3-phase induction motor. We are going to study the construction of 3-phase induction motor. So the first diagram I have shown, it is the parts of AC motor. So in general, for any AC motor, the main parts are the stator, rotor, cooling fan, frame, bearings, end brackets and so on. So this is a cross-sectional view which we are going to study now. So in this cross-sectional view, I have shown all the parts of this particular machines. So what we see, the outermost part is the stator core. Outermost part here you see it is the stator core. Then from the front side you can see this is the lifting bolt. Then this is the stator frame. Then this is the stator core. Inside the stator core you will see stator slots. Then in the slots a 3-phase stator winding. Then here is the rotor bars. Then these are the end rings. This is a squirrel cage rotor. This is the base support and this is the terminal box. These are the different parts of 3-phase induction motor. We will be studying all the parts one by one. The innermost part which I have shown, it is the shaft of 3-phase induction motor. This is a cross-sectional view. Previous view is the pictorial view. In this pictorial view, you will see this is the stator, inside this is the rotor, here you will see the bearings, then at the end cooling fans, this is the frame and these are the end brackets. So different parts of induction motor. You will see here, this is the main outermost covering which is known as the frame of the induction motor. This is the wiring cover or terminal box. Then this is the rotor. In front side and back side you will be having the bearings, then end belts and fan blades. So functionally the two main parts of the 3-phase induction motor are the stator and the rotor. The stator and the rotor. Again I have shown one more pictorial view. In this view it will be seen by you that this part of the machine, this is the rotor which is mounted on the shaft. This is the end cover. This is the end cover. Here you will see the stator. You will see the stator with its winding. Then this is the terminal box. These are the cooling fins. So this is overall pictorial view of 3-phase induction motor with the dismantled rotor. So the rotor will be actually present inside the stator. Rotor will be present inside the stator in this particular space, so that there is a magnetic coupling between the stator and the rotor. Now we will see what are the different stator parts. The stator has two main parts. If you see the overall construction of the stator, it has two main parts. First is the stator core. This stator core is mounted inside the outermost protective covering which is known as motor frame. This motor frame is the supporting structure of the motor assembly. It gives support to the inner parts of the machine and it is manufactured of iron, steel, die-cast aluminium, which is particularly resistant to corrosion, and this motor frame, it is having a structure with extended bars which are working as the cooling fins. Inside the motor frame, you will be having a core. What I have stated that it is a laminated core. This part is constructed with magnetic steel plates and they are housed inside with motor winding. The stator is a cylindrical drum. What is the shape of the stator? Stator is a cylindrical drum, and while fabricating the stator, it is composed of thin circular ring-shaped laminations of good quality silicon steel. Remember here that cylindrical drum which we are using for the stator as a core, it is not a solid structure but it is formed by lamination of thin circular shaped silicon steel material. In this cylindrical drum which is working as a stator core, number of slots are provided. Number of slots are provided around the inner periphery of the cylindrical drum. For this particular cylindrical drum which we are going to use as a stator, the material used is a silicon steel material. Why silicon steel? Because it has low hysteresis loss. The laminations, they are insulated from each other. When we are pressing number of laminations one after each, in between the two laminations we have to provide a thin layer of insulation so as to reduce the eddy current loss. The hysteresis loss and eddy current loss, it is going to decide the efficiency of the machine. So we have to take care of these losses, and for that fabrication of the stator core, when we are carrying out, we have to see that it should be having minimum hysteresis loss and minimum eddy current loss. To minimize the hysteresis loss, we are using a particular material, that is silicon steel. And to reduce the eddy current loss, we are using a laminated structure with a layer of insulation between any two successive or consecutive laminating layers. The laminations once formed, actually they are very thin laminations having thickness about 2 to 3 mm, and these laminations, they are stacked together and fitted inside the frame of the motor so as to form a cylindrical structure. So it appears like a hollow cylinder. Number of laminations, they are pressed one behind other. Between two successive laminations, a layer of insulation is provided. They are bolted together and it will form finally a hollow cylinder. In this stator core, they are providing the stator winding. In this stator core, a stator winding is provided. What is the winding? Winding is an interconnection of number of conductors which carry the current. Winding is an interconnection of number of conductors which carry the current. Here, the stator winding is for the purpose of production of magnetic flux. How is the winding? As it is a machine working on three-phase supply, the winding provided on this stator is a three-phase winding. Means what? It comprises of three equal sets of coils. Means instead of connecting all the coils together, number of coils available are divided in three groups, and in each group the number of conductors are connected together. They are togetherly forming a single phase of the winding. All the three phases are having equal number of conductors so that it forms a balanced three-phase system when it is connected to three-phase power supply. What it means? You are having suppose 90 number of conductors, they will be divided into three groups. Each group will be having 30 conductors. Individually, each conductor will be identical to other in length, in cross-sectional area as well as the material, so that they will having same electrical parameters, and when they are connected together, the three-phase winding, it will be a balanced winding, so that all the phases will carry equal current as they offer equal impedance. A three-phase stator winding, once it is structured, it is uniformly distributed in the slots. It is uniformly distributed in the slots as shown in the sectional view. The winding is wound for a specific number of poles. You remember, number of poles, it has to be even number, means at least one pair of poles, means you should have two number of poles or 4 poles or 6 poles, etc. When we are having 3 different phases, you will be having 6 output terminals, but when we are using these group of phases on the stator, they are interconnected either in star or delta. You may be aware of the method of connecting the 3 phases. There are 2 possibilities, either you can connect them in star or you can connect them in delta. If you are connecting in star, you may have either 3 terminals for output or 4 terminals, and if you are using delta connection, they will be having 3 output terminals whose phase numbers will be given as R phase, Y phase and B phase. So these terminals are brought out to connect to the 3-phase AC supply. So that is the 3-phase winding which is provided on the stator core. Winding is a distributed type of winding which is going to produce a rotating magnetic flux. So you can see here the diagram of the stator of the AC motor. So what you see here, it is a single lamination. It is a single lamination with these are number of slots. In these slots, you will see here the conductors are placed. The conductors are placed. This diagram shows few number of conductors. When all the conductors are placed in number of slots, they may be single layer winding or it may be double layer winding, and these conductors, they are interconnected to each other so as to form a stator winding. So this is the stator core. Stator's core is made up of these laminations. Each lamination individually it will be having thickness of 2 to 5 mm. Number of laminations, they will be placed one behind other, and between that laminations there will be layer of insulation. The slots should be overlapping so that it will provide a continuous path for the conductor. So number of conductors will be placed in number of slots and then they will be connected together. Each individual conductor, it will be having its own insulation. So these are the insulated wire coils which are placed inside the stator core. So togetherly it forms the stator, and here the outermost covering which you see, it is the stator frame. So stator frame is going to protect the stator core. Stator frame is going to protect the stator core, and here inside the stator core, this is a hollow cylindrical drum, and inside this core now you can place the another part of the induction motor, that is the rotor. What I have told you that the two functional parts are the stator and the rotor, which are actually going to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. So now we have seen what is the construction of the stator. With the basic point, you should note that it is not a solid cylindrical drum, but it is formed by the laminations. Inside the stator we are keeping the rotor. Inside the stator we are keeping the rotor. So we will see one by one what are the rotor parts. Now the rotor of 3-phase squirrel cage induction motor. Actually you remember one thing, that induction motors, they are of 2 types, squirrel cage induction motor and slip ring induction motor. The rotor we will be studying separately for squirrel cage induction motor and slip ring induction motor, because based on the construction of rotor these motors are classified. So the rotor of 3-phase squirrel cage induction motor, it consists of non-insulated bars that are interconnected by short-circuited rings. So what I want to explain here, that in this case the rotor is not having thin conductors as a winding, but it is using thick bars. These bars are not insulated and these bars are placed inside the slots, one bar in one slot. One bar in one slot. What characterizes the induction motor is the fact that only the stator is connected to power supply. What this means? The main characteristics of three-phase induction motor is that it is working on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So, no supply is connected to the rotor. The three-phase supply is connected only to the stator. Three-phase supply is connected only to the stator. The rotor is not supplied to any external power, but the current that flows through it is an current which is due to the induced electromagnetic EMF. And this electromagnetic induced EMF, it comes from the stator, and that's why this machine, it is known as an induction motor. The rotor, it is placed on the shaft. Rotor is placed on the shaft. So that the function of the shaft, you can define that it transmits the mechanical power developed by the motor to the connected load. So now we'll see what are the types of rotor. There are two types of rotors. First is the squirrel cage rotor and second is the wound rotor, or also known as the slip ring rotor. So I have shown here the diagram of squirrel cage rotor. Squirrel cage rotor, how it is constructed, we'll see in detail. The rotor is formed by laminated cylindrical core. So remember, just like the stator core, the core used for the rotor, it is again cylindrical core, and it is also a laminated core, because we have seen that lamination is going to reduce the eddy current loss. Now in this case, the laminated cylindrical core, here it is having semi-closed types of slots provided around the outer periphery of the cylindrical core. Why semi-closed? Because rotor is continuously rotating. So due to centrifugal force, there is a possibility that rotor conductors may be thrown out. So to avoid this, the rotor slots are semi-closed types, or they may be enclosed type. Where the rotor is placed? The rotor is mounted on the shaft and then it is placed in the central place inside the stator cylindrical core, as I have shown that inside the hollow cylindrical core of the stator there is a space, and in this space we are providing the rotor. What material we are using for the rotor winding? As far as stator is considered, it is having a distributed winding and the material is essentially copper. But in case of rotor, we are using thick bars. So if it is a squirrel cage rotor, either thick copper or aluminum bars are driven through the slots. In each slot, one bar is placed, and then these bars, they are short circuited at the two ends by two thick end rings. Why they are short circuited? Because to produce a flow of current, circuit is to be closed. These bars, which are placed one in each slot, these thick bars, they are working as the rotor conductors. They are working as the rotor conductor. They are braced or welded to the end rings. They are welded to the end rings to produce the short circuited rotor winding. As I have stated previously, it is not supposed to connect the rotor winding to any external supply. So to make a closed circuit, rotor conductors, they are short circuited. They are short circuited. The appearance of the rotor bars means when we are keeping number of rotor bars, one conductor in each slot, and from the front end on the back end, the end rings are provided, the rotor bars are welded to these end rings. So the appearance or the look of this rotor, it is similar to the cage which we are using for a squirrel, so it is known as a squirrel cage rotor. And the motor is also known as a squirrel cage induction motor. One more thing you should here remember is that the rotor slots which are placed on the core, these rotor slots, they are not exactly parallel to the shaft. They are not exactly parallel to the shaft, but they are skewed slightly. What it means? Skewed means they are having a side tilted as compared with the direction of the shaft. They are slightly tilted, or they are making some angle. They are not exactly parallel to the shaft. What is the purpose behind this? The skewed construction is provided to avoid the magnetic noise and direct the magnetic locking between the rotor and stator teeth. The rotor is also producing the flux once it carries the current. Already stator has also produced the flux. So if opposite poles of stator and rod comes one below the other, there is a possibility of magnetic locking and it will produce a humming noise. So to avoid this humming noise, the rotor construction is slightly skewed construction. Rotor construction is slightly skewed construction. The squirrel cage rotor of induction motor, I have shown here the diagram of squirrel cage. So you will see here that the shaft is in this angle, then the conductors, they are slightly tilted. Conductors are slightly tilted. So that is what? A skewed construction. This is the total diagram of squirrel cage induction motor. This will be the shaft, and here you will have a clear look of what is the laminated construction. You will see here there are number of layers, means number of thin plates of silicon steel. They are placed one above other and they are pressed by using these bolts. They are pressed to form a cylindrical drum. So just like a stator core, rotor core is also laminated and it is mounted on this shaft. When the slots are provided, slots are slightly tilted. Slots are slightly tilted, and this is for the purpose of avoiding the interlocking of stator poles and rotor poles and to reduce the humming noise. Other parts are as usual. It will be also having end rings, then bearings, etc. Then the next type of rotor, it is known as slip ring rotor or a wound rotor. Slip ring rotor or a wound rotor. They are also having a core, just like a squirrel cage rotor. This is also having a core. The rotor is formed by a cylindrical laminated core having slots on outer periphery. So this part is same. It is having a cylindrical core. It is having slots on the outer periphery. But now it is not having thick conductors, but here it carry a three-phase uniformly distributed winding, just like the stator winding. Just like the stator winding, it will be having number of thin conductors. They will be divided in three groups. All the conductors in one group, they will be connected to form one phase, and then the three phases, they will be again interconnected with each other in star or delta connection. So to carry a three-phase uniformly distributed winding, it is wound for same number of poles as that of a stator winding. This is very important point to be noted, that if we are designed the stator with 4 number of poles, rotor winding should be also provided with 4 number of poles. That is what? Equal number of poles on the stator and the rotor. The rotor winding is inherently connected in the star, and the terminals are then connected to three-phase slip ring mounted on the shaft. So here what you should note, that in case of stator you can connect the three-phase winding in star or delta, but rotor should be connected in star, and 3 output terminals will be brought outside and then they are connected to the 3 slip rings mounted on the shaft. The slip rings, they are making an electrical connection from the rotor winding and the external resistance bank. So to make the electrical connection between the rotating part and the stationary part, we are making use of the slip rings. External resistance can be inserted in phase of the rotor through the brush and slip ring. So purpose of this copper slip ring and the brushes which are provided, it is for the purpose that we can insert an external resistance in each phase. What is the external resistance advantage, that we will discuss afterward. Squirrel cage rotor is short circuited rotor. No external element can be inserted or connected to the rotor of the squirrel cage motor. But for the slip ring induction motor, the three windings, they are not short circuited, but their terminals are brought out and they are connected to the three slip rings. On the three slip ring, three brushes are mounted. These brushes are just touching to the slip ring, and then the external terminals are taken out from the three brushes, and again they will be having three terminals R, Y and B, and these three terminals of the rotor, they will be connected to the external resistance bank, which will be again a three-phase resistance bank. So in this rotor also, the slots are not exactly parallel to the shaft but slightly skewed. What is the purpose, that I already explained, that it avoids the interlocking of the stator and rotor poles, and it avoids the humming sound which is produced due to interlocking. The slip ring induction motor or wound rotor induction motor, that diagram I have shown here. Here again you will see that this will be the rotor core, this will be the slot, and in the slot these are the conductors, but you will see that here these conductors are interconnected to each other. They are interconnected to each other, and now here you will have a look over the one most important part which you have not seen in the squirrel cage induction motor, that is the slip ring and brush. So you will see there are three slip rings, one for R phase, one for Y phase and one for B phase, and on the three slip rings here three carbon brushes will be resting. Three carbon brushes will be resting, and output terminals will be taken from the carbon brush. Means these conductors, their end terminals, they will be connected to slip ring. When the rotor will be rotating, slip rings will be also rotating, so it will not produce any twisting of the joint between the rotor conductor and the slip ring. Whereas the brush, it is just touching to the slip ring. So when it touches to the slip ring, the current which is flowing through the slip ring, it will enter in the brush, but there is no any joint between the two, though there is no problem of twisting or open circuiting of that connection. So that is the advantage of slip ring and brush. Now we will see the connection diagram of slip ring induction motor. So we will see this is the stator. So as I have told, stator, it will be having a three-phase distributed winding. It may be a delta or it may be a star, and it will be connected to three-phase supply. Whereas rotor is also having a winding, but this winding will be a star connected winding, and over the shaft there will be three slip rings. This is the shaft, the same shaft on which rotor is mounted. Over the shaft, three slip rings will be provided. On the slip ring, brushes will be resting, and these brushes will be then connected to the external resistance bank, which will be used as a starter, as well as its use will be to improve the starting torque of the induction motor. And that's why this motor, it is used for the locomotive type of applications which demand high starting torque. So this is the basic difference between the squirrel cage rotor and slip ring rotor. Squirrel cage induction motor is comparatively less complicated, less costly, and it requires less maintenance because it does not have any slip ring and brush and winding on the rotor. Only one single winding is provided in the stator, so any fault which will occur, it will be probably only on the stator side. Rotor conductors are thick conductors, so there is no possibility of any fault on the rotor side. Whereas slip ring induction motor, it is having somewhat complicated construction because rotor is also having a three-phase winding. Again, there is a slip ring and brush mechanism which may cause wear and tear between the brush and the slip ring, and that's why it may require some maintenance. But till then, due to its advantage of high starting torque, for some application we are using slip ring induction motor. So other parts of the motor, in addition to that, what are the other parts? Below is the list of the parts which we are using in addition to stator and rotor. First thing is the end shield, that means two covers on the front side and the back side, which will protect the motor from moisture and dust, etc. Then fans for cooling the motor. Why cooling is required? I have told that there is a loss inside the machine. Some electrical power is lost and it causes an increase in the temperature, and that's why we have to provide the fans for cooling of the motor. Then next is the fan cover. Then terminal box which houses electrical terminals of the motor. Then motor terminals for connections of the stator if it is squirrel cage induction motor, and if it is a slip ring induction motor, terminals will be available for both the stator and rotor. Then the bearings. The bearings are giving support to the rotation of the rotor, a smooth rotation without any friction. So I have shown here the parts of AC motor. These are the miscellaneous part I am going to show because already we have seen the stator and rotor. Now this is the end cover. This is the end cover, how it is fixed using end seal. Then these are the bearing locks. These are actual bearings. Then you have to make the packing. So for that we are using retainer seal which will be pressed over the bearing. Then this part, now I think you are familiar. This is the rotor. Then this is the stator, this is the lifting bolt, this is the lifting bolt. If you want to make the transportation of the machine, or if you want to pick and place the motor with the help of this bolt, you can place it to the different place. Then this will be the field winding. Then for high temperature you can provide these pins so that heat transfer rate will be increased due to increase in surface area. Then these are the mounting holes through which machine is fixed. Then this is the terminal box. These are the cooling fans and this is the fan cover. This is the cooling fan and this is the fan cover. So this conduit box is placed. In this box you will be having the terminals. The frame which is provided, it is made up of cast iron. Then this is the total winding. So I have shown all the miscellaneous parts when we dismantle the machine. So this gives the total pictorial view of all the parts of AC motor, in which though the functional parts are the rotor and stator, other parts are also playing an important role. So with this we will conclude our today's lecture. Thank you.